So let me speed through the wrap up, I'm sorry. And so just a quick summary. End of year three requires the submission of the sync, the SIRS, the SOF, the STAS, the SPRIG, the CELA, the SENR record. In total, end of year requires the update or the submission of every file type except for this fall two SAS file. The staff, every other file should be at least updated going into end of year or submitted for the first time. It's really the largest data collection that we have. So that's end of year 1, 2, 3, and 4 as a total. But end of year 3, those are the files that should be submitted. Behavioral incidents for students with disabilities requires end of year 3 to be approved by the SELPA. So again, end of year 1 and 2 do not require any approval other than LEA approval. Because data for students with disabilities is included in end of year 3 and the focus of end of year 4, it requires a SELPA approval. So locally, your SEDS data coordinator should be reviewing those reports. The IEP staff should be reviewing those reports. The data for end of year 3 is reflective of the entire academic year. That's true of all end of year. STAS submissions are submitted for every STAS record that's primary or short-term enrolled student. In public school, right? Again, your private school students and your secondary enrollments don't have STAS records. The new this year is the 1-year grad counts. That's report 121.22 and 1.23. And all students should be exited at the end of the year, CERT 131, okay? And then your E-English language acquisition status, new this year, is used to update the RFEP students and also to resolve the CERT 67 error. So again, you might see CERT 67 or CERT 106. That's those students that were TBD and never had their record updated. 67 could be students that enrolled late and don't have a CELA status. These CERT 67 is a fatal error. This will prevent you from certifying. So you may have to LPAC a student late in the year, or you might just have to submit that record for the student. And then CERT 106 is to remind you to update that TBD status. Sometimes the student might be TBD and transfer before you could test them. That's why it's not fatal. The gaining district might need to handle that. And then students that have a program 191 record during the year will be counted as homeless. That's the summary. Why do we even submit all this data, right? It goes to DataQuest, it goes to the California School Dashboard. We meet the requirements in the Individuals with Disabilities Act, as well as the Every Student Succeeds Act, and also the McKinney-Vento Act, right? And this is just some, it's not all the measures and uses of the data. And so these are just for your benefit. Kyron thought there was value. I'm not going to go through them, but you can always review these last slides that help you account of the student that shows up on the dashboard.
So yeah, just to avoid confusion here, so I just put in these slides just so, you know, in any normal reporting year, you will have trend comparisons, but between this year and last year, for the dashboard, you will have numbers, but there won't be any comparisons to last year. So you won't have any colors, as Angela mentioned in the chat. So.
And now you have impact on certifying, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just wanted to include that. Again, this is for reference. So don't submit a ticket and say, what happens if I don't certify? Pull the slide up, just certify, makes it easy. And then suggested milestones. We just want to real quickly remind everyone, snapshots are running. You should be submitting files now. Perhaps you haven't began on end of year 3 yet, but you certainly, I can't think of any district that can't be submitting end of year 2 data. The training for that is not live. It won't be live. It's only on YouTube. But if you're ready, you can submit report files for end of year 3. Even if your school year hasn't ended, you can see if there's any missing data in the structure of your files, right? We would expect the counts to be off, but you should be submitting files with the exception of your enrollment records, because you don't want to exit students. Perhaps you're still testing, but we know if you submit your incidents, You might have more incidents because we're at the end of the year and school hasn't ended, right? But it's okay. It's full replacement. You're just going to overwrite what you submitted. If you understand that, you can start submitting files, making sure your data is correct, and find any troubling errors sooner rather than later. And the file submission, the error resolution should continue for most of you until we get to July. And then in July, we would really expect you all to have completed the submission process and really be resolving certification errors, reviewing reports, and not just you looking at the report and getting the green check. Print the reports out and give it to your IEP team. Print the reports out and give it to your administration as far as discipline. If if you're not in the biggest district, say you have a 10 school district or 10 site district, you can filter those reports per school and provide it long as they're not the student list. You could provide the counts via email because there's no personal information. Then if your administrators questions the counts, you could tell them log into CalPads. This is what you do. You can walk them through that process and make them accountable for that incident information, or make them at least see the ramifications. Just make the data relevant to them to encourage their investment into the product, into CalPads, into their responsibility. We can't be expected to know all the counts and the accuracy of those counts. It's a sneaky way of delegating some of the work. I do it all the time. And then certify by initial deadline, right? The benefit of this is that it sets you up for a good fall one. You don't have reporting behind you. Also, sometimes a certified report means more to your data stewards and to your administration. They're not expecting any more changes. Even though you have the amendment window to make changes, they're looking at the counts probably with more earnest and more finality than opposed to a draft or in review. So if you certify by the deadline, they can review the reports, and any last minute changes or anything that's alarming can be modified before we get to August 27th, which of course is the final deadline, not just for end of year 3, for all end of year submissions, as well as the cohort processing window. So make sure, along with the cumulative enrollment and your 1-year grads, you understand that the 27th is the deadline for your cohort as well. There is no going back. And so I don't know what the summer break bullet is. I assure you I didn't put it in there, but I guess the incentive is if you certify early, you can enjoy your summer. So that's good. There
That's
are resources.
Cancun.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. So we went over the resources, so we don't want to cover this slide at all, but here's a link to several different resources. We do want to tell you that support is always available. Your primary means of contact is the CalPad service desk, and the web form is direct. All the other methods are a little bit slower. There are 2 listservs. There's a CSIS listserv, which allows you to talk to other LEAs and kind of, troubleshoot together. And then there's the CalPads listserv, which makes sure you get the flash messages. I would encourage you all to have your administration, even if they're not going into CalPads too frequently, at least get the flash messages by signing up for the CalPads listserv. That way it goes to their email inbox. So last but not least, we want to make sure that we ask for your feedback in the survey. Kyra and I were worried that there was a lot of information in this particular training, and we might have been rushed. It might have been at a good pace for those of you who have done this every year for the last several years. But if you're new and it's overwhelming, it's good. And try to indicate, don't just say it was too fast. If you would tell us what you need more information on, or what, because there might be a training for you that we could review in the survey and kind of indicate, or if there's not a training that meets the particular need, we can do it. Either way, please, provide us some feedback so that we can move forward uh, and try to make our trainings as, as best that we can. And so last but not least, I guess is really the last thing is we just want to thank you for your attendance. Uh, thank you for your hard work and your ongoing patience. We work with CalPads like you all do. The one benefit, however, I'm not responsible for certifying anything during the troubling time. So, we just always want to let you guys know that we appreciate the hard work. We understand what you deal with, and we do try to advocate for you all. And
Yep.
so,
You guys are the MVP.